and I am joined in the studio today by Terry Robb. Terry, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by. Man, this is exciting.
Oh, good.
If you can hear some pages ruffled, there is a lot to discuss here for sure.
Okay.
Terry's a very talented musician. Kind of just eyes popping a lot when reading through this bio and about this new album. I guess kind of some names throughout there. You've played with Buddy Guy, Steve Miller, John Fahey, and lots of different subs. I don't want to paraphrase for you by any means, so you want to go ahead and maybe tell us what your upbringing, what happened, give us a rundown of your life.
Well, when I was a kid, my parents were big into music, of course, and when I was a kid, the guitar became a big instrument because of the Beatles and whatnot, and there was a big blues revival going on in the 60s when I was a kid, and so you'd hear all these old blues guys, and you heard rock guys like Jimi Hendrix or Cream or Canned Heat, I used to like a lot, doing these tunes too, and you'd check out who the original were. And my dad took me to see Louis Armstrong, took me to see the Beatles and all kinds of stuff, so it was encouraged. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
and you were, I understand you're born in Vancouver,
BC, and then we moved to Pittsburgh, and then we moved to Portland.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that started. And it looks like you're still based in Portland.
I am.
You've kind of done all this stuff from there.
From there, and I go on the road and play all over the place, like right now. In fact, 2 days ago, I was in Moscow, Idaho, where it was about 5 feet of snow.
Oh man, yeah, that's
yeah.
Well, I hope you're enjoying the weather down here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me tell you.
Oh man, so I guess so. Yeah, moving around, starting in Portland. One of the things that I noticed on here, kind of newly getting into John Fahey.
Oh,
I have a good friend who's like a huge John Fahey fan. I understand you produced one of his albums, and
I produced quite a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So how did that all start out? Was that kind of like your first production work, or I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. What happened was, when I was a kid, he was one of my heroes, John Fahey. I used to go see him, and then I had a demo tape, and he heard it. A friend of mine gave him my demo tape, and on that tape was a song called "One Way Gal" by William Moore, pretty obscure blues guy. And he liked it, and he sent me a Christmas card and said he'd like to meet me. And he was coming through Portland, and we met, and we got to be good friends. And he moved to Salem, Oregon, which isn't far from Portland. And we were hanging out a lot. And then one day he said, I just got signed a record deal with Rounder. I want you to produce my record, my new record. And so I did, and I kind of learned how to do it through him, and I've ended up producing other people as well. So that's how that started.
So that was kind of your first foray into...
Yeah, I was in my early 20s.
And would you say that's kind of... A lot of these other names, was that kind of your branching off point?
Sort of. I mean, I was playing around a lot on my own and got hooked up through promoters and whatnot. Like, I mean, I went on tour with Buddy Guy and stuff like that, and just from playing. But yeah, John opened up quite a few doors. Sure.
Oh, that's really awesome. And I know Dave here, who's manning the camera. This will be available on video later on for video for our listeners out there. But you also play with Frank Zappa.
I didn't play with him. I just hung with him.
Hung with him.
Yeah,
okay.
A friend of his best friend in high school was a guy named Ramon Rex, and I played with Rex when I was young, and so through Rex him and Beefheart, they all went to high school together down in Lancaster, California. Cucamonga.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a lot of information for everybody out there.
All you Zappa fans out there know what I'm talking about, right?
I felt like I needed to bring that up because I know Dave is a big fan. So.
Well, I did a record with Ike Willis. We did a record together called Jelly Behind the Sun, Terry Robb featuring Ike Willis, and that was a lot of fun. Ike was not only a great singer, but a really funny guy. And my mom liked him a lot, so.
So you mentioned the demo tape with John Fahey. Now, present day, this is your 15th album that we just heard, Confessin My Dues, and you're on tour in advance of that. That's coming out May 31st, is that the
It is, and I have some CDs with me, limited edition, because I'll be playing tomorrow night at the Sidecar, Prince Psalms Inn in New Brunsfeld. And it's all ages, and you should get your reservations. It's recommended.
Right ahead of me. That was my next talking point.
Tomorrow at 7:30.
Cool. Well, yeah, we've probably hit a lot, but you have your guitar here, and that's your claim to fame. Do you want to play us a song?
Sure, I'll play it still on 101.
Okay.
Ready? thank you. Yeah, it's nice.
KSYM, you're listening to the Third Coast Music Network, and if you're just tuning in, that was Terry Robb right there playing Still on 101.
Yeah.
And that is from, it's live here in the studio, but it sounds so perfect you probably couldn't tell the difference. But that's from his album Confessin My Dues, coming out May 31st, and he's in the studio before his show up in New Braunfels tomorrow night, correct?
Tomorrow night, and I have copies of the CD, limited edition, if you'd like to buy one.
And just to talk about your guitar playing some more, you are award-winning not only in the Oregon Music Hall of Fame, but understand there's an award that has been named after you because you won it so much.
Yeah, it's the Cascade Blues Association. They have a category for acoustic guitar, and I won it so many times that they told me I can't win it anymore. Retire my number, my jersey, and they named it after me, which was a great, great honor.
Oh, that's really awesome.
It is.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that's had an award named after them. So.
Maybe a reward.
Yeah, yeah, maybe so. Maybe some wanted people have crossed paths with. But that's awesome. So this new album, Confessin My Dues, like we're saying, this is your 15th album. Obviously, you could do this whole thing by yourself, but you were joined by some jazz artists on this.
Yes, a guy by the name of Dave Capteen and Gary Hobbs. Gary Hobbs used to play with Stan Kedden, people like that. And I thought I'd see, and I did some songs with them, see what they would bring to what I do instead of just bringing somebody who kind of does what I do already. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you're primarily, I guess the term you use is fingerstyle blues guitar.
Correct.
So was this kind of like your first foray into experimenting with jazz people?
No,
or?
not really, but it was the first time I with these particular players and what they could bring. Yeah, I mean, it's all still acoustic guitar, upright bass, drums. They're all acoustic instruments. But I mixed the record so it sounds kind of like a big... I was listening to Jimi Hendrix's Band of Gypsies record on the way to the studio and ended up mixing the record like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. And was this all recorded up in Portland then?
Yes, it was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Man. Yeah, I guess just for listeners just tuning in, I know I casually mentioned the show, but you want to run the details
it's
again?
tomorrow night, which is... what's today, Monday? Tomorrow's Tuesday, right? Yeah, and tomorrow's 7:30. It's at the Sidecar, the Prince Psalm Inn in New Brunsfeld, and it's all ages, no cover, and reservations are recommended.
Awesome.
7:30, and you're going to be there, right?
I'll try to. I might have work. I know.
Give him the night off, will you?
He's living in Austin.
Oh no, I was just there. It's a ways away, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty busy last week.
I bet you were.
But and it's also just maybe for people who, might not be familiar with a lot of this stuff. You've also done music for like TV shows, like it says here, Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Yeah,
they used one of my songs.
Oh, cool.
A song I wrote, and I've never seen the show. I don't even know what it's about, but I get a check once in a while. So
hey, that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of songs, want to play us another?
Yeah, I'll play a song called "So Glad." It's off of "Cool on the Bloom," which I think you got a copy of. I'm so glad that I was wrong. So glad. I'm so glad that I was wrong. My life was filled with sorrow. You came to me, now it's gone. Well, you could see that I was troubled, that I was chained to a foolish thought. Well, you could see that I was troubled, that I was chained to a foolish thought. But when your love, the sorrow ended, you whispered light into the dawn. My days are all tomorrows and my nighttime all yesterdays. My days are all tomorrows and my nighttime all yesterday. But with your love the sorrow ended, I'm in your arms now there to stay. So glad. The sorrow ended, I'm in your arms now that it stay. Thank you.
KSYM, you're listening to the Third Coast Music Network. Terry Robb playing So Glad live here in the KSYM studios. Mentioned before, so many accolades, so many cool people you've got to play with. What's kind of like your best story, like your highlight of your whole career, would you say?
The best compliment I ever got was I was recording at Sam Phillips Studios down in Memphis, and Roland Janes was the engineer, and he engineered all the Jerry Lee Lewis records, a lot of the Sun Records stuff. And one of my heroes was Charlie Rich. And I was doing the session, and he turned to me and said, you remind me, in the studio, you remind me a lot of Charlie Rich. And that was my favorite, best compliment.
Wow.
Yeah, and I said, thank you so much.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you have this new album, Confessin My Dues. I don't think we quite mentioned this yet, but where can we find this when it's available?
When it comes out, you'll be able to find it, on Amazon and on the internet. And you can probably go to my website and you go to Nia Sounds, the record label's website, and it'll be just about everywhere.
And what's your website, just for those out
Terry
there?
Robb, just terryrobb.com.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're playing tomorrow. Want to run those show details?
Sidecar at Prince Psalms Inn in New Brunsfield. Is that how you say it?
New Braunfels.
New Braunfels. I'm sorry. New Braunfels.
Yeah.
I'm not from around here, so I'm sorry. But my apologies. And then it's all ages, and it's a good idea to get reservations. So
Cool. And yeah, definitely. That's really cool. Dave, do you have any Frank Zappa questions before I forget?
No, I could plenty, but
Dave has plenty, but
yeah, I got a bunch of stories. If you want.
oh man. Well, do you have a specific one for Dave?
So, my question was, of course, you're proficient on acoustic guitar. Did you any of your recordings more involved, more electric?
Yeah, there's one called Muddy Vishnu, which is like a blend of Muddy Waters and Ma Vishnu that I did that I really liked. Came out a few years ago. Yeah, all electric. Made a couple acoustic tunes, but pretty rocking stuff. Yeah. And then the one I did with Ike was all electric. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'm off mic, so
Dave had asked about electric and acoustic records, just for reference on that. Cool. Well, let's see here.
Want me to play another one?
Yeah. Want to play us another song?
There's a song on the new CD called Now Vestibule, and it's a medley of songs that are called vestibule tunes because it's an open D tuning on the guitar, and I'll play a short version of that, okay? Ready?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Man, I can hear the clapping down the halls here at KSYM. We are joined by Terry Robb, if you're just tuning in. That track was called Now Vestipule from his new album, Confessin My Dues, which is out May 31st.
Yeah, but I'll have copies tomorrow.
So, yeah, advanced copies are available. And tomorrow, as you mentioned, you want to run those show details again?
I'm at the Sidecar at Prince Psalms Inn in New Braunfels, and it's free all ages. Reservations are recommended. 7:30 p.m.
Great. Well, Terry, thank you so much for...
thank you for having me. It's been very nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was great to meet you, man. I'm definitely very overwhelmed, if you can't tell, with all this stuff. My friend was texting me, and I asked him if he had any questions. My friend, that's the big John Fahey fan.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I don't think any are coming in. But if there was any deep, dark John Fahey question he wanted to know, I would have definitely asked. But
you tell him to just send me a message on my Facebook. I'll answer any Fahey. I got a million Fahey.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with him. A lot of time.
Man.
I got a quick question.
Oh, Dave's got one.
Quick question would be, are there any guitarists that you sort of follow that you're pretty impressed with these days?
Today? God, I can't think of any offhand. There's so many, I mean, sounds like cliche, but there's so many good ones out there. You know, there's a lot of women playing blues guitar now, which is a really cool thing, you know? And yeah. I mean, I saw Ry Cooder not too long ago, and he still sounds great. You know, he's still the slide guy, you know? Yeah.
No, I think I'd ask your wife when I saw you at the house saw y'all at the house concert. We had a Texas guy that's up that way, Steve James.
Oh, yeah, Steve's a friend of mine. Yeah. Yeah, Steve's a great player, great mandolin player. Yeah, he lives up in Seattle now.
Oh, okay.
And when I play in Seattle, he usually comes to the show, and we've taught together, and we've done some little mini tours together back in the 90s. But Steve's great, absolutely. Yeah, he used to live here for a long time, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin, I believe, yeah.
From down here, even before that.
Really, the guy I used to like from down here was Doug Somm.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought that guy was great. I always wanted to be able to...
Somebody tell you to say that?
No, I'm telling you, man, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be able to sing like Doug Somm. I just thought he was the greatest singer, and I just thought it was so cool because he was so eclectic. You know, he played blues, you know, and Mexican music and everything. He was just great. And, you know, the first time I heard Flockaway Menace was with him, really, you know, and Augie Meyer. I had all those records, you know, and I think I might have gotten his autograph once.
I was going to ask, did you ever cross paths with him?
I saw him, you know, I saw the Texas Tornadoes a few times. I saw him once in L.A., and they were great. He did that, you know, he threw in Norteño stuff, and he was a great blues guitar player. And I remember I was in a record store in Eugene, Oregon one time, and Watching the Detectives came on the sound system by Elvis Costello. And I know it had just come out, and I thought, wow, this is cool. Sir Douglas Quintet just made a kind of a reggae record. I thought it was Sir Douglas Quintet because that's how Costello sounded when he was singing. You know, I think he influenced a lot of people that we don't even know about. You know.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like when I first heard the Clash, I thought it was the MC5. Yeah. You know. All right.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I guess while we have you on, still, you want to run those show details and where we can find you online?
Okay, I'm going to be at tomorrow, Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Sidecar at Prince Psalms in New Braunfels.
It's on San Antonio Street.
On San Antonio Street, free, all ages, reservations recommended, and everybody must come. Because then I'm going back to Portland the next day, and, you know, I'll probably be back down here in the fall. And if I do, I'd love to come visit you again.
There you go.
Yeah. And always listen to this radio station. Everybody, listen to the radio. Call your DJs. Have them play your favorite songs. Tell them that you really like the songs they're playing, and go see live music.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. These are just coming in. My friend.
Okay.
These might be a bit technical.
Oh.
He said, "I have too many if I actually talk to you." That's what he said.
Okay.
But he's like, he wants to know what size tape did you record on. This might be a bit technical for listeners.
On this CD?
On, I guess, your stuff with John Fahey.
Oh, it was on 2-inch.
He's okay.
Yeah, it was on 2-inch. Sometimes 1-inch, and we used to edit a lot. And back then we razor blade everything, you know, and that was confusing, but it worked. Yeah.
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 And he says, and any particulars about Fahey? He's a big fan. These are like literally just coming in.
About John?
Yeah, about.
Well,
so maybe if I'm getting these, if you want to maybe tell your best John Fahey story for.
Well, there's a really, I mean, we used to sit around and listen to records a lot, you know, and John listened to all kinds of music. I mean, one of the things that why he liked me, well, one of the things that why we got along is we had the same influences. Mm-hmm. And I knew all these songs that he got his songs from, and, you know, and he was an influence on me, and we both liked classical music. I mean, Fahey once said he thought it'd be cool to syncopate Bartok, which is like, let's do Mississippi John Hurt doing Stravinsky or something. So we'd sit around and listen to, you know, Stravinsky, Messiaen, Charlie Patton, you know, all the old blues guys, and we'd listen to old country music. He loved bluegrass music, Indian music, but what people don't know is that he also really liked Rod Stewart.
Oh, wow.
And he also really liked, his favorite band in the world was Booker T and the MGs.
Oh, wow.
And he asked me to arrange the whole album, Hip Hugger, for 2 guitars one time. And I started to work on it, then something else came up, and we did do a whole album, it was an album back then, of 50s music that never got released on Rounder. So I remember he always wanted to do a version of Rubber Band Man by the Spinners. Is that who did that originally? Or one of those groups? Yeah. So. Yeah, and I mean, we both listened to, you know, if he heard something on the radio, he'd put it into his song, you know, a song.
Yeah.
Like, there's an old Bob Lubin song called a Black Mustache or something in a white Cadillac, I can't remember the name of it. And right in the middle of Hark the Herald Angels singing, he threw that guitar lick in there. You know, he was very eclectic.
Cadillac and a black mustache.
Yeah. Bob Lumen, is that who that was? Yeah, James Burton played guitar. I remember that. So I can tell you a funny Fahey story. One time he asked me to turn some reverb up on his guitar, and he reached over and pulled a cheeseburger out of his pocket, took a bite out of it, and put it back in his pocket. So I mean, he was a million laughs to be around, and he was a real. I would say he was a musical genius. I mean, I wouldn't throw that word around.
Yeah,
he really was.
He's inspired so many people that I am friends with, and like musicians I like. I guess what's that guy's name?
Well, Kottke for one. Leo Kottke for one. Absolutely.
William Tyler, kind of a newer guy who's like kind of
he's into the Fahey sort of thing.
Yeah. He's played with like it's a band called Silver Jews, and he's kind of more in the alt scene. But like there's a huge interest in him, and like that I'm kind of just discovering that through my friend who kind of tries to play his kind of style. So it's really cool to.
Well, there's also like he and John didn't like this too much. He influenced the whole new age guitar player scene, you know, the Windham Hill thing, and he wasn't too happy to get that claim. But he used to call it hot tub music. But I mean, there's a lot of good, you know, Michael Hedges, a lot of good guys came out of that stuff too. You know, yeah. He was funny. John was a pretty funny guy. I think. I mean, but people always, you know, they knew he listened to all this old blues, and he rediscovered Skip James and all these guys, and he knew all the obscure country guys, Sam McGee, Dick Justice, and we listened to all this stuff. But he also really liked ELO.
Wow.
I mean, you know.
Diverse.
Yeah, he was diverse. Yeah.
Well, there's probably way too many technical questions here.
No, you go ahead and ask me another technical question.
Oh, man. So he wanted to know what kind of tape machine you guys used.
You know, it's probably, I can't remember. There's so many different studios. Probably Atari at one time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a weird.
I'll tell you what kind of mics we used.
Okay. You probably want to know that, and probably
414s.
Okay.
AKG 414s. One on the guitar sweet spot, and one on the back of the guitar. Probably pretty far away used to micing because he played pretty loud with finger picks. And he played Martin D35 at the time. And an Oahu lap slide guitar. And then he had a Martin D76. And I have that guitar. It's the one he's holding on the cover of The Best of John Fahey. I bought that from him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still have it, yeah.
And this is from my friend. He says, your accompaniment on Let Go is loved.
Oh, well, thank you.
And he's looking forward to checking out your solo stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Anything else?
I think that's it. This is a first for me, but during an interview.
See John Fayton?
I'm sorry John passed away, but I'll play a couple of his songs while I'm there. I still talk to his wife. She's a wonderful person.
Well, I had mentioned my friend's a huge fan, so I figured if I didn't ask you a couple, then he was probably, yeah. But you mentioned he is free to email you. You want to? I told him your website.
Yeah, absolutely.
For anybody who's
for Facebook, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, for anybody that's finding your music and not just hounding you with John Fahey questions.
I love talking about Johnny. He was a good friend of mine.
And where can we find you on those again? What are the URLs?
I'm on terryrobb.com, and then I have a Facebook page, and I'm on Instagram. It's all terryrobb.com.
And I know we sidetracked quite a bit, but you want to run those show details one more time, just so.
Here, I'll let you read it.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
On the website also.
And it's on the website. You can visit terryrobb.com. But it's tomorrow, 7:30, sidecar at Prince Psalms Inn, right up the road in New Braunfels. Free, all ages, but reservations are recommended.
Very good.
Awesome.
You did a lot better than I did.
Well, thank you, Terry. I know we have one more queued up on the CD.
Yeah, let's do It Might Get Sweaty.
Yeah.
And it's a band tune, so you get an idea how the band and I play. We kind of go at each other like we're playing like John Coltrane or something. We play off each other and that sort of thing. Very Zappa-like, you might say, in a way. So maybe you'll enjoy this, I hope.
Cool. So this is Terry Robb, Might Get Sweaty, from the new album Confessin My Dues, out May 31st. But you can see him tomorrow and get an advance copies of it.
Absolutely.
Right up the road in New Braunfels. Terry, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.